Okay, this is part 3 of the Math 110 final exam review, starting with number 15. It says f of x is negative 2x plus 1, and g of x is x squared minus 2x plus 5. So I'm writing these down. And it says to evaluate f plus g of negative 2. All right, so what that means is take f of negative 2 plus g of negative 2. So f of negative 2 is plugging negative 2 into the f function for x, and g of negative 2 is plugging negative 2 into the g function for x. Negative 2. All right, so f of negative 2 is 4 plus 1. G of negative 2 is positive 4 plus 5. We want to add all those together. 4 plus 1 is 5, plus 4 is 9, plus another 4 is 13, plus another 5 is 18. All right, number 16. F of x is the square root of x minus 1, and g of x is x plus 4, and we want to evaluate f minus g of 5. All right, f minus g of 5. So that means f of 5 minus g of 5. So f of 5 is plugging 5 into the f function, so that'll be the square root of 5 minus 1. And g of 5, here we're subtracting, so you want to open up parentheses to make sure you subtract the whole thing. Plugging 5 into the g function is 5 plus 4. So square root of 4 minus 9 is 2 minus 9, which is a negative 7. All right, number 17. Now we've got f of x is a quadratic, x squared plus x minus 1, and g of x is linear. G of x is negative x plus 3, and we're supposed to evaluate f times g of negative 1. F times g of negative 1. So what that means is f of negative 1 times g of negative 1. So here also you want to make sure you put things in parentheses because you're going to be multiplying quantities. And you've got to use the distributive property or FOIL. Actually, no, because we're evaluating at numbers. If we were doing this in general, f of x times g of x, we would have to distribute. But since we're just plugging in numbers, it's not so bad. You can calculate. Plugging in negative 1 to the f function is negative 1 squared plus negative 1 minus 1. And we want to multiply that by g of negative 1, which is negative 1, minus x is minus 1, plus 3. So that is going to be 1 minus 1 minus 1 times positive 1 plus 3. 1 minus 1 is 1. No, negative 1. Haha. 1 minus 1 is 0. So you have a negative 1 left. 1 plus 3 is 4. So that's negative 4. All right, and just to remind you, the answers to this review are at the bottom. So if we wanted to double check the answer to number 17, for example, there it is right there, negative 4, sure enough. All right, so let's go to number 18. Number 18 is f of x equals 3x plus 2, and g of x is 2x plus 5. So both nice linear functions. All right, now we want to simplify f OG of x. All right, so that's the composition, f OG of x. Also notice that it's of x and not of a number. So this time we're going to get an expression in terms of x instead of a number. So first of all, what that means, that little circle you can think of as standing for of, like an O. So f of g of x is written like this, right? F of g of x. We want to put the g function into the f function for x. So you take 2x plus 5, put it in parentheses, and put it into the f function for x right there. So let me first just write f of 2x plus 5. That's what f of g of x is. All right, so now I want to write 3 parentheses plus 2, where this expression is in the parentheses. So 3 times the quantity, 2x plus 5, plus 2 is what we want to simplify. So that just involves distributing the 3 to get 6x plus 15, and adding the 2 to the 15 to get 6x plus 17. And there's your composition function. Number 19 is very similar. Here we've got another pair of functions for f and g that are linear. This time we're going to do it the other way around though. G circle f of x is g of f. So f of x is negative 2x plus 3, and g of x is 5x plus 1. And we want g circle f, or g o f, or g of f of x. So that is, again, g of f of x. So now we want to take the f function here and plug it into the g function for x right here. So first of all, let's write g of negative 2x plus 3. And then g of something, again, means plug it in for x. We're going to put that in parentheses in there for x. So we're going to get 5 times the quantity negative 2x plus 3 plus 1. And then, again, just simplify by distributing the 5 to get negative 10x plus 15, and add the 1 to get negative 10x plus 16. And that's your answer.